What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hitting the Field. I'm your host, Alex Funderburke. We got a jam-packed season finale for you in our last episode. We're going to talk some NBA with Kyle. We're going to talk some MLB with Nick and Jeff. Stay tuned because Hitting the Field starts now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the season finale of Hitting the Field. It's been a great semester. I've enjoyed hosting the show, and I'm looking forward to next semester because I'll be back. But in the season finale, I want to talk some NBA basketball with my guys here, Kyle Dewitt and Sheppard. Kyle, how are you doing, bro?
Pretty good, man. I'm excited to be here for the season finale. I mean, it's been a long ride this semester. It's coming to an end, and I'm very excited about it. So,
for sure. Riley, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Last show, but better late than never.
For sure. And you're making your hitting the field debut today, so that's exciting. But guys, let's jump right into it. This NBA season has been fun. And let's talk about some awards. We're coming near the end of the season. Let's jump right into who's going to win some awards, and we'll start with MVP. Kyle, who do you think right now is the MVP?
They're sitting right now 4th or 5th seed in the West. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. That man will win the MVP. The man's almost averaging a triple-double as a center. He's the best playmaking center that we've probably ever seen. And now he's putting up 28 points a game. And he's single-handedly now, without Jamal Murray with a torn ACL, like piggyback riding the Denver Nuggets to the playoffs and hopefully a deep playoff run. I was going to say Joel Embiid, but that's going to be my long tail of today's injuries have really ruined the award season. I'm not saying ruined, but it's really putting a damper on the award season. I was going to say Joel Embiid, but he was out for 2 months. And I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers are first seed on the East right now. And Joel Embiid is the most dominant player in basketball as of right now, unless you say Kevin Durant, who's putting up 40 points in 40 minutes whenever he actually plays. But right now it's Nikola Jokic, and I don't see anyone else that even touches the MVP award right now.
For sure. Riley, what about you? Who is your MVP at this current moment?
I have to agree with Kyle. Jokic is the front runner for MVP. The best ability is availability, and out of the top 10 front runners for MVP, him and Rudy Gobert are the only two who have not missed a game this season. He has 15 triple-doubles on the year, only trails Russell Westbrook, which, that's not bad company to be in at all. And like Kyle said, what's going to make or break his MVP campaign is how the Jazz perform without Jamal Murray. They've had 2 wins since Murray went down, but their schedule is going to get a little tougher down the stretch. Games against the Jazz, Clippers, Nets, and 2 against the Blazers. So, as long as they hold on to that 4 or 5 seed, I think he has that locked up.
No, for sure. And I agree with both of you. I think it's Jokic, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Kyle, is there an argument to make for maybe not Joel Embiid because he did miss a lot of time, but James Harden? He's putting up numbers in Brooklyn, and yeah, he's missed time too. But is there a case you can make for James Harden to win MVP?
There is a case you can make. He's arguably having maybe the best season that he's ever had, which is crazy to think because James Harden puts up so many good numbers year in and year out for the past 7-8 years, ever since he joined the Rockets after the Oklahoma City trade. But just the way that the media has portrayed James Harden so far this year, forcing his way out of Houston and forcing his way onto Brooklyn, and the way that he's portrayed himself so far this year, missing practice, going to the strip club, a little baby, all that good stuff. I just don't think they're going to give it to him just because of how the way the media is portraying him at this moment in time. I can't make you can make an argument for him with stats. He's playing really good. He's a top 3 player in basketball right now. But the way the media portrays him, no, you cannot give it to him.
Hey, I'm perfectly okay with that. As a Knicks fan, I want Brooklyn to have nothing good. Riley, if not James Harden, who's maybe a dark horse candidate that, maybe people are not considering that might have a case for MVP?
If it's anybody right now, it's got to be Steph. That man has been on an absolute tear the last 9 straight games of 30 plus. I want to say 44 threes in those games. I could be wrong, but it's probably something crazy up there. But, Steph, the only thing that's holding them back right now is them in the standings. I want to say they have the 9 seed right now, fighting their way into that play-in tournament. But, if they can make their way up to the 7, somehow maybe make it up to the 6 seed, I think Steph is definitely a dark horse in that running.
No, Steph has been absolutely insane. He's kind of reminding everyone, like, who Steph Curry is, because I think last year with him out, people forgot the greatness that is Steph Curry. And he I saw a stat yesterday. He has more threes this week than 4 NBA teams. Like that's Steph Curry for you. I mean, he has 20, 10 3-point made games in the last 4 seasons, and no one else has more than 2. Steph is absolutely insane. He's so much fun to watch. Yeah, and exactly. And it's the other one is Klay Thompson, who the Warriors when healthy are so much fun to watch, and I can't wait for Klay Thompson to get back next year. But it's gonna be hard to move up the playoff ladder if you're the Warriors, because now you don't have Wiseman.
Can I say
let's move on. Yeah, go for it, Kyle.
Steph Curry is single-handedly carrying the Warriors to a play-in tournament. It's Steph Curry, a bunch of injured players, and a bunch of probably should be G League players. You have Draymond Green, you have Kelly Oubre, you have Andrew Wiggins, but those aren't second and third scoring options that you want on a championship-winning basketball team. Steph Curry is single-handedly carrying them to a play-in tournament.
And I want to add something to that too, is that, I think a lot of people always forget that the MVP is the most valuable player. Steph Curry for the Warriors is the most valuable player for any team in the league right now. You take Steph Curry off that team and they're, like you said, they're a G League team at best. No disrespect to Kelly Oubre or James Wiseman, but that.
Yeah, that's the hard thing with MVP is because it is most valuable, but it seems to go to the best player in the league more often than not.
Absolutely.
But if it was most
team too.
Yeah, it's the best player on the best team. But if it was most valuable, I think it's Steph, and I don't think it's close, especially this year. But let's move on to a different award here. Let's go Rookie of the Year now. Kyle, is it still going to be LaMelo?
No, he missed too much time. And a lot of people are putting Anthony Edwards underneath the radar. This man, the second half of the season, he had a slow first half just because he was trying to get equipped with the NBA game. But Anthony Edwards, this second half of the season, has been probably the second scoring option for the Minnesota Timberwolves above D'Angelo Russell now, whenever Cat's healthy. This man's posterizing people. This man's making way more threes than people thought too. Whenever he was a prospect, trainers were saying that he couldn't make a 3-ball. He was going to struggle making the 3. But this man's shooting lights out from the 3-point line. I think he's averaging 18, 19, or 20 points a game, something like that. 5 rebounds and 4 assists. That's really good for a rookie number. It was almost up there with LaMelo numbers. I mean, it just sucks that he's on a bad team. But I think that Tyrese Halliburton also has a chance to win the Rookie of the Year as well. I mean, if the Kings could stop losing 8 or 9 straight games after winning 7 of 8 games and they had a chance to make it to the playoff berth, Tyrese Halliburton would be way more in the conversation. But he's also a really low-key underneath the radar guy because he doesn't really talk to the media. He doesn't get a lot of attention from the media, but that man is having one hell of a season.
For sure. And Riley, how about you? Who's your Rookie of the Year right now?
And yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I would say right now, if LaMelo wouldn't have missed, wouldn't have gotten injured, I think would have won it unanimously, and I don't think it would have been close. But right now, Anthony Edwards is definitely the front runner. By the end of the season, LaMelo would have only played 41 out of the 72 games. So, that's not going to do it if you're talking about awards. But, Halliburton is, I think if he doesn't win the Rookie of the Year, I still think he could be one of the best rookies out of this class. He's he just gets it done on the floor. He's one of the most efficient rookies we've seen in recent years. And he's only started 15 games this year, which is just crazy to think about, and still putting up the numbers that he is. So I wouldn't be upset either way, either Edwards or Halliburton.
For sure. And those guys have both really have strong cases here. But you both said the wrong answer. It's Emmanuel quickly on the Knicks. I'm going full bias right now. I'm going full bias. Give it to my man's IQ. Buddy's balling. He needs to be our starting point guard. Please bench Elfrid Payton. But let's move on to most improved player. Kyle, I'm going to come back to you. Who is your most improved player?
There's a lot of people that you could put for most improved. Julius Randle, Christian Wood. I mean, you could even say Malik Beasley could have won most improved player so far this year. But I mean, you had to give it to me, it's a first-time All-Star. It's Julius Randle. This man's putting up 25, 7, and 6.
That's the right pick.
Yeah, it's honestly the right pick. I mean, he went from being an aggressively mediocre player in this league game for the last 6 years to an all-star, and he's leading the Knicks to a playoff berth and won't even have to play in the play-in tournament as of right now. So I mean, I think you have to give it to Julius Randle. But if Christian Wood was playing on a better team, he would have a much stronger case.
For sure. And Riley, what about you? Who's your pick?
And that's the problem with the most improved is that, they do have to be on a somewhat competitive team because, if the Pistons were competitive, Jeremy Grant would be another one that would have won it if, they didn't have the worst record in the East. But Julius Randle is by far the favorite to win it. The Knicks are surprisingly being a very competitive team. They've won 6 straight. He's just absolutely balling, the best player on that team by far. But yeah, I mean, if Christian Wood wouldn't have missed the amount of games he did, he would be the favorite as well.
No, for sure. And I agree with you both. It's gotta be Julius Randle. I mean, and that's like not my Knicks bias showing right now. But it's about to show. I mean, this dude has been balling. Watching the Knicks day in and day out. Last year watching Julius Randle, I wanted the Knicks to cut him. Like, he was bad. He was a walking turnover. He would do this weird spin move at the free throw line and just turn the ball over. It made me so angry. And then this year, he comes in as not only the leader on the court, but he seems to be the leader off the court too. Like, the team is full of young dudes, and Julius Randle's taking them under his wing, and he's amazing. Like, I'm going to war for Julius Randle. He was getting MVP chance in the Garden yesterday at the free throw line. Like, it just made my heart happy. They're on a 6-game winning streak. We're in the playoffs right now, which is insane. I was hoping to get the first pick in the draft, and now we're going to go to the playoffs. So go Knicks.
What about Jaylen Brown?
No, that's another good pick too. There's a lot of good picks, but I'm going with Julius Randle. No matter.
So Jaylen Brown went from a good player to a star in literally a year, and he's playing alongside Jason Tatum. The man's averaging 28 points a game. That game a few nights ago, I forgot who it was against, but he scored 42. And whenever he was in the game, he was the guy with the ball in his hands. Right. I feel like Jaylen Brown's the leader of the Celtics team.
And you have a point there. In the past 2 years, it's been, Jason Tatum has been 1 and Jaylen Brown has been 2. And, this year they go back and forth every game on who the best player on that floor is.
Yeah, and that Celtics team is fun because of that. The results haven't necessarily come to fruition yet, like wins. But that Celtics team is fun because one night it could be Tatum, the other night it could be Brown. And like it feels like a very cohesive unit.
They've won 6 straight.
Yeah,
they're now sitting at 4th seed in the East. So, I mean, I think that they're going to make a deep playoff push. I mean, I think that they're probably going to. I don't think they'll get out of the second round necessarily, but I think that they'll take whoever they have. It'll probably end up being the Nets at the 1st seed. I think they'll take them to 6 or 7.
That'd be interesting. That would be interesting for sure. It all depends on who they get in the first round. Like if the Knicks end up 5, a Celtics Knicks first round would be a good matchup because that Knicks is all defense. I don't know if the Knicks beat them, but that would be a 6 or 7 game series for sure.
It would.
Let's move on to, like I just mentioned, defense. Let's move on to defensive player of the year. This one, I don't know if there's like a clear answer here, and I could be wrong. Kyle, you could say somebody. It's like, oh yeah, makes sense. But Kyle, who's the defensive player of the year so far?
You probably have to give it to Rudy Gobert. I mean, the Jazz have the best record in the league, and Rudy Gobert has been a staple defensive player for years. I think he's still averaging 2.3 blocks this season, which is insane. If the Pacers were better, Miles Turner, because Miles Turner's playing absolutely fantastic defense. But I think you have to give it to Rudy Gobert. He's playing on the best team in the league.
For sure. And Riley, what about you?
And I have to disagree. I'm going to go with Ben Simmons. I think he's someone that, he said it the other night, the last time they played the Jazz, he put up 42 on Rudy Gobert, and he didn't. And everyone says that Rudy Gobert can guard 1 through 5, but I think that's the one edge that Ben Simmons has over Rudy Gobert, is that he can guard any position on the field and put the clamps on them. And, being 6'9", a 6'9" point guard doesn't hurt in that case, but, the Sixers are also first in the East, so I got to give it to Ben.
Yeah, I'm not mad at either of those. I think it could be both. I would go Ben Simmons too, just because I don't know. Rudy Gobert to me has always seemed like, yeah, he has the numbers, but like watching him, you're not like, players aren't scared of Rudy Gobert on the court. Like they'll go at him. And I don't know. Rudy Gobert's always been a weird player to me. I've never got in the Rudy Gobert hype. I don't get it.
I never have either, but the media loves loves Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, the media and the voters love him for some reason, and I don't know why. Like he's good. He's a very good basketball player. Is he defensive player of the year seemingly every year? No. But let's move on to the playoffs and the play-in tournament. Mark Cuban has said a lot about the play-in tournament and how he dislikes it. And for those that don't know, it's a little bit confusing. The 7 and 8 seed will play each other. The winner of that game will be the 7 seed. The loser of that game will play the winner of the 9 and 10 game, and the winner of the loser of that game, or the winner of that game will then be the 8 seed. It's a little confusing. It's hard to keep track of, but 9 and 10 play. The winner of that gets a chance at the 8 seed against the loser of 7 and 8. Is this good for basketball, Riley? Because Mark Cuban hates it. The Knicks love it. They had a press conference where they talked about it. But it seems pretty 50-50. Like half the teams like it, half the teams don't.
I'm personally a big fan of it. I think it adds a lot more excitement to the first round, which, that first round of the playoffs, outside of the 4 and 5 and the 6 and 3 matchups, the first round is typically pretty boring. I mean, ever since 1984, which is when the NBA expanded to the 18 playoff, a 1 or 2 seed has only lost to a 7 or 8, 10 times. So you can do the math on that. That's not a lot of upsets in the first round. So I think it adds a bit more excitement. And I think it allows for teams like, for example, the Raptors, who have dealt with a lot of injuries and absences due to COVID, to, make their way into the playoffs when they're just starting to get healthy again. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Kyle, what about you? Is this good or is this bad?
I think it's good. Sorry. I think it's good for maybe this year. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of it whenever like there's no COVID. Just for because just like Riley said with the Raptors situation with a lot of people missing due to COVID, and like the Wizards too, for example, they missed a lot of time due to COVID, and the Wizards, they're creeping up in the standings. They're going to be 10th seed and they're going to make it to the playoffs. Watch me. That's my hot take for the day. But I really like it for this year just because of the COVID stuff. I mean, I would like to see it more if they could maybe mix it up a little bit. I don't think that having 2 chances if you lose a game, like if you're the 7th or 8th seed and you lose a game, I don't think you should be in. But then you have a second chance against the 9 to 10 seed who had a worse record. So it's basically like, here you go, here's your playoff berth. Like we're basically trying to hand it to you at this point. But I like it. It brings a whole lot more excitement and it brings a whole lot more chance to teams that are lower in the standings. For the West, I don't like it as much because it's so top heavy, because like the difference between the 7th and the 10th seed in the West is like 10 games, I think, at this point. Whereas in the East, I love it in the East because seeds 4 through 10 are all within like 5 games. So like any team can make it, and especially with all these COVID problems, I think all those teams are basically even between 4 to 10 at this point. Like the Wizards could beat the Boston Celtics on any given day, and you don't know. Like there's no clear favorite in that game, especially the way that Russell Westbrook's been playing in the past like month. This man's getting a triple double and 25 points every single game. I think he dropped 24 assists even one night so far this year. But I mean, I like it for this year. I wouldn't say I don't know about going forward. I think they're going to keep it going forward. I want to see how it is next year when COVID's not as big of a problem.
Yeah, I personally love it. I think it adds a lot of intrigue to the end of the regular season when teams are vying to not have the 7 through 10 seed. They want to get that 6 seed or the 5 seed so they don't have to play in it. And then the actual playing games themselves. Last year, that Jazz and Portland game was a lot of fun. Like it felt like a game 7. I loved it. I'm kind of with Kyle. I don't know if I want to see this long term. I might, depending on how this looks this year, because it kind of does diminish the importance of the regular season. Because if you are a 10 seed, you probably don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And who knows, that 10 seed could get there. But it's definitely going to be fun because I think seeing that 10 seed get the 8 seed, they might not deserve it, but it'd be a lot of fun seeing like the Wizards sneak into the playoffs somehow. I don't know. It's like I'm a fan of seeing bad teams getting a shot to win it all. I don't know why, but like Kyle said, 4 through 10 right now are all separated by like 4.5 games. So like it could be anybody in that tournament. You just don't know.
And like you guys said, right now at the 10 seed, it's a 3-way tie between the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Wizards. And from them to 9 is 3 games, but I mean, any of those 3 teams could be playing the Heat in the first round.
Yeah, it's madness. Like the from now until the end of the season, who knows in the East? Like the West is pretty, you kind of know who's going to be in, but in the East, dude, like the Knicks could end up at 4th, the Knicks could end up at 11. Like who knows?
Right.
Like that's why I love like the end of the season in the NBA, because it's typically like this where you don't know how the standard's going to shake out. Yeah, you have your elite teams 1 through 3, but after that, dude, it's a heavyweight fight for those seats. Kyle, do you have anything you want to add on this, on the playoffs?
As of right now, the 7th seed is the Heat, the 8th seed the Hornets, the 9th seed is the Pacers, 10th seed the Raptors, and then it's a 3-way tie between Raptors, Bulls, Wizards. The Wizards are going to be the ones that end up with the 10th seed, and they're going to play the Pacers in that first playing game. Wizards win. I think the Wizards are hot. The Wizards are finally healthy. The Wizards are finally getting to where they want to be. Russell Westbrook's actually playing like he wants to play basketball in like the last 2 seasons. Bradley Beal, and Rui Hachimura. Let's talk about Rui Hachimura for a minute. Rui Hachimura is playing like an absolute stud. Everybody dogged the Wizards whenever they picked him, and then I think the 8th pick of 2 years ago. But Rui Hachimura is putting up 17 points a game right now, and he was injured for the first part of the season, but he's putting up some really good numbers, and he's playing some really good defense as well. So Wizards beat the Pacers. Heat are going to beat the Hornets, and the Heat are going to get I'm sorry, Hornets fans, but like Gordon Hayward's hurt. The Heat have been there before. That's why they'll win that game, I think, probably pretty easily. And then the Wizards are probably going to beat the Hornets. So the Wizards will play the 76ers in the first round as of right now, and then the Heat will play the Nets. Those are 2 very fun series.
Here, Kyle, I have a question.
Another
I have a question for you, and I want to see if you have a hot take for it. In the West, is there anybody that, especially with Jamal Murray going down, who do you think is the favorite to take down the Nuggets, which a lot of people have been saying are one of the favorites? Well, maybe not a favorite, but a team that can make a deep playoff run.
What do you think to take down the Nuggets? Like who's going to beat the Nuggets in the playoffs?
In the first round.
Oh, in the first round.
Wait, so what do you like? I'm still confused about the question.
Is there anyone that you think will, or is there anyone that you think will upset the Nuggets in the first round?
Well, as of right now, the Lakers are the 5th seed.
Yeah, right now they're
Right
playing the
now,
Lakers.
Lakers are the fifth seed.
Yeah.
That's who I'm taking to
playing
beat them.
Oh,
Anthony
yeah.
Davis and LeBron will both be healthy by come playoff time, and they'll probably end up beating the Nuggets in 5.
You're right.
Yeah.
I love Jokic, and I really like Michael Porter Jr. He's going to be great one day, but it's not one day yet.
No.
So
It's not this season.
Yeah. The West is intriguing for me because I need the Mavericks to stay in the 7. I need them to stay in the play-in tournament because then I need them to lose in the play-in tournament because the Knicks have their draft pick and I want a lottery pick. So I need the Mavericks to keep being bad. They're definitely a disappointment this year. I mean,
oh yes,
Luka and Porzingis should be so much better standing wise than the 7 seed. Luka is a top 5 player in the league. Porzingis could be top 15, but he's not. He's been really bad. Like the Knicks won that trade bad, and at the time I thought it was the worst trade of all time. Like I don't know what's up with the Mavericks. They've definitely been a surprise to me with how bad they've been. But Kyle, what's been a surprise to you this NBA season?
a surprise to me, besides all the injuries, like I said earlier, like that was going to be a big thing for me, was injuries. How bad the Pelicans are. Why are they so bad? I don't understand. Zion's putting up 30 points a game and Brandon Ingram's putting up 25. I mean, I don't know if it's their supporting cast that's around them. Even Lonzo Ball's been playing really good, which is very surprising. He's putting up 16 and 8, which is amazing for a third option. And he's been playing more of an off guard, and they're just letting Zion play point guard. I love that. I love Zion playing point guard. But they're 25 and 32, and they're not even in the play-in tournament. They're 3 games behind the Spurs right now. How? I don't understand. There's no way the Spurs should be ahead of the Pelicans right now in the standings, looking at it on paper.
Kyle, they don't play defense.
I know they don't.
They score.
They don't play
They
defense.
score. They average 114 points a game, but they give up 115.1. Like, they don't play defense.
No,
Like,
they don't. They're on Brooklyn Nets level of playing defense.
like they just don't show up. And I like what Stan Van Gundy said after the game they lost to the Knicks yesterday. He said there are high school teams with higher basketball IQs than my team right now. Like, watching that game, it was the Knicks were down 3 with like 5 seconds to go.
Oh.
D-Rose drove into the lane. They needed a 3. Like, there's not enough time to get a quick 2. They needed a 3. D-Rose drives down the lane. For some reason, Lonzo Ball cheats and comes into the paint to cover D-Rose. Why are you covering? Like, so he leaves Reggie Bullock wide open in the corner. Like, the Knicks have to hit a 3. What are you doing? Like, why are you going into the paint? Let D-Rose take the easy leg. You're going to win. But they just don't play defense, like, at all. Riley, what's your surprise so far?
My surprise is the Phoenix Suns. They're currently second in the West, only a game back from the Jazz, which can easily change in the next week or so. So can we please start appreciating Chris Paul's greatness?
Thank
He
you.
makes every team he plays for better. This team is already at 40 wins on the year, which, just put in perspective, is how many wins the Suns had in the 18 and 19 seasons combined. He made last year's OKC team better, which everyone had as a for sure lottery team. And he's doing it right now with the Suns. DeAndre Ayton looks like a completely different player from last year. Way more efficient from the field, way more dominant defensively. And he's taking the weight off of Devin Booker's shoulders as far as being a facilitator, which has allowed him to do what he does best, which is what Devin Booker does best, is get buckets. So the Suns could easily finish the regular season as the 1 seed. Do I think they're going to make it out of the West? No, but, it's been nice to see the Suns be competitive.
That's my thing, is the Suns are the 2 seed, and no one's talking about the Suns. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody. Everyone is only talking about the Lakers and the Clippers. But it's like, bro, the Suns and the Jazz are the 1 and 2 seed. Like, can we please appreciate them? And Chris Paul gets hated on so much. He doesn't get talked about at all. And my guy is balling for the Suns. He makes everybody better. Like, you could make an argument. You can make it exactly. Like, we talked about the MVP going to the most valuable player. You can make an argument that he's the most valuable player on the Suns. Like,
Yes.
without him, they're terrible. And it's not because Chris Paul's the best player on that team, because no one's arguing that. But Chris Paul is easily the most valuable player on that team. He makes everyone around him better. Like, the Suns are such a great surprise this year. I thought they'd make the playoffs, but I thought they'd be playing in the play-in tournament. And now they're fighting for the 1 seed.
That's insane.
It's really cool to see.
I don't know. After watching the Suns in the bubble last year, winning 9 out of 10 games, and then Chris Paul going to that team, I was like, that team's going to be really good. So nobody's watching out for the Suns. I didn't think they were going to be a 2nd seed or even fighting for a 1st seed. I thought they were going to be like a 5th or a 4th seed. I didn't think they were playing the play-in tournament. But just the way that they're impressing everybody this year, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're 40-16. They're only a game and a half behind the Jazz right now. And the way the Jazz looked last night against the G League Lakers team, or the other night against the G League Laker team, whoo, man, the Suns, we could be looking at the Suns as the 1st seed and playing the Lakers in the 2nd round. That's crazy.
That would be a very fun series. I don't know if the Suns beat the Lakers, but
No,
that would be a very fun series for sure. I think my surprise.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kyle.
No.
Go ahead.
How about the East as a whole? How surprising just the East as a whole is, because teams that are supposed to be staples of the playoffs, they're finally healthy again, but they're still not winning games. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're playing 500 basketball. They're 29-28. I mean, the Raptors have had their problems. We get it with injuries and COVID and stuff, but they're still 10 games below 500. The Raptors were a 3 seed last year. And then, I mean, just the surprises like the Knicks, the Hawks, and the Hornets. I mean, the Hornets, even with their injury problems, are still 500 and they're still in the play-in tournament. But there's usually staples in the playoffs that are not playing the way that they usually play. Out west too. I mean, I guess you could say the Mavericks have been disappointing. There's I don't really see like a lot of exciting new teams besides the Suns and the Hawks maybe. But besides that, it's just been teams being disappointing.
Yeah, no, like you said, it's the Hawks, it's the Knicks, it's the Suns, it's the Jazz. Those are your kind of like positive surprises. But outside of that, everyone's been a disappointment. Like, why are the Pacers? Why are the Raptors? Why are they so bad? The Wizards, you have Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. You should not be tied for the 10th seed right now. Like,
in 10 games.
The Celtics until recently, like, they were not good. They're finally catching fire, but they were the 10 seed for a long time. Like, the Celtics the East should be 1 through 4 and then everybody else. But it's 1 and 3 and everyone else. Like, the Celtics should be that 4th team, but they're not. Like, I don't know. The league as a whole has kind of been disappointing, but it's made for a very fun season. Like, teams have been disappointing, but everyone's so close. It's going to be very, very, very fun down the stretch to fight for playoff positioning and to fight to not play in that play-in tournament.
Completely agree.
For sure. And do you guys have any other surprises? Riley, we'll start with you.
I mean, you were kind of talking about the Celtics earlier being, a disappointment, but you know who they right now would play in the first round is the Hawks. The Hawks have been a pleasant surprise. Trae Young has been balling, and do I think the Hawks can beat the Celtics in the first round if they play each other? No, but they've been kind of the bottom of the East the past 5-10 years.
It's been a hot minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So
ever since that 2014 campaign where they were 1st seed, they've been bottom of the ladder.
Yeah. So it's been nice to see them in the playoff hunt again. And I mean, again, like the Knicks have been another one. I think Coach of the Year could go to either Thibodeau or Monty Williams. I think they've both been doing an exceptional job with their teams. And
here's my argument for Tibbs for Coach of the Year. The Suns were supposed to make the playoffs, right? The Knicks were supposed to be the 2nd worst team in the league. It was supposed to be the Knicks and the Pistons. And the Knicks can end up at the 4 seed and host the first round. Like, that's what's insane to me, is they're fighting for home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. I was hoping for a lottery pick. I wanted Cade Cunningham. I was like fully ready to blow the Knicks up and like just go full young movement, like everybody. But they're a good team. Like, they play defense. They have the second highest defensive rating in the league. Like, this team is built on defense. They fight. Like, yesterday, they went down 7 or 8 in like mid fourth quarter. I was like, this game's over. But then they just like clawed. They got in defensively and just fought back, and they got heart. This is the first Knicks team in a long time. They have heart. They want to win. Like, watching the Knicks the past 7-8 years has been so hard. So hard. Being a Knicks fan is so hard. Like, the teams like just did not. Jarrett Jack was our starting point guard for 2 whole seasons. Like, that tells you where the Knicks were. Like,
don't hate on my man.
Jarrett Jack, like, he's not a starting NBA point guard. Like, that
he's
was
a good role player. He's my role player.
Like, he's a role player. Yes, if he's a role player for your team, great. If he's your starting point guard, there's problems. Like, and now we got a squad, and it's so fun. And I tweeted yesterday, because I'm a big Yankees fan too. I tweeted like, and the Yankees suck right now. Like, I tweeted like, I don't care about the Yankees at all right now because the Knicks are bringing me joy. And I was like, I never thought I would say that ever. Like, it's fun to be a Knicks fan, man. Like,
and you were kind of talking about this, is that, you know, they fight every game. Every Knicks game that I've watched this year, they have fought until the very end. It doesn't matter how much they're down, and they have dogs on their team. They have a lot of young players, like you touched on earlier, and you can tell they all have a chip on their shoulder. They all have something to prove. Julius Randle, like you said, like, you wanted him cut last year, and you can tell he's changed. That he wants to be the best player, not only in that team, but you can tell he wants to win an MVP one day. And like Emmanuel Quigley, you know, all these guys, Mitchell Robinson, all these guys want to ball out. And
D-Rose is back.
He's balling, dude. He's balling.
Like, his first stretch with the Knicks was terrible. And like, I remember he went like missing for 2 weeks. That was a whole story. The first time I was with the Knicks. And we traded for him like 2 months ago. And I was like, we don't really need Derrick Rose. We need Derrick Rose now.
Yeah,
like,
y'all need
the role he plays right now is perfect. I think he should be our starting point guard, because I don't like Elfrid Payton at all. Elfrid Payton kind of just is a waste of a position. But like, Derrick Rose is exactly what they need. He's not going to be the dude dropping 45 every night anymore. That's not who he is. But he's going to make everyone around him better, and he hustles for everything. Like, he closed regulation. There's like 2.5 seconds left. Pelicans had the in ball at half court, and he blocked the shot. I forget who took the shot for the Pelicans, but he blocked it. I was like, why is Derrick Rose getting blocks? Like, he fights for everything. I love what Derrick Rose has done for the Knicks. It makes them so exciting, man. Like, the Knicks are fun, and that makes my heart so happy.
And Derrick Rose is only going to make them better in the upcoming years. You know, he's going to be a role model for these younger players, like RJ Barrett, you know, all these guys, Emmanuel Quigley, another young player, Obi Toppin, even. Like, that's another one that a lot of people, like, he might not be getting the playing time this year, but he could be another, like, blossom into another good role player for them next year.
And that's so the day after we traded for him, we were playing Miami in Miami. And a story came out that he took RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quigley, and Obi Toppin out to dinner and basically said, look, you guys are going to play more than me, but I'm not here to take your minutes. Like, I'm here to teach you guys. So, like, what do you want me to teach you? And I was like, I love this. Like, this is exactly what they need. But that does it for this NBA segment. It was a joy having you guys on. We'll see you guys at the draft show, I guess. I guess that's the next show up, because this is the last one. But Kyle, Riley, thank you guys for joining me. I had a great time talking to y'all, and I'll see you guys soon.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying today's episode on Hitting the Field Network. On my show, Take Me Out to the Podcast, we're bringing you the latest in MLB news and some incredible interviews with some incredible people, including Bobby from Outta Here Baseball, Bailey from Foolish Baseball, Dawson Wright, Alec Palmer from Momentum, and so many more. Be sure to tune in to Take Me Out to the Podcast every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, only on HTFN.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. We're going to talk some baseball now. I got Nick with me. I got Jeff with me. Jeff, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. It's always a great day to talk sports, especially with
For
you
sure.
two.
For sure. We love having you on. Nick, how are you doing? My resident Rays fan. You guys just swept my Yankees. I'm sure you're thrilled.
I am thrilled, and I'm even more thrilled that you're not having a good day because of the Yankees. So that's great. But you still have your Knicks. I saw you.
Yeah,
talking
it's the Knicks. They're making me happy, man. First time in forever. First time in forever. But I want to jump right into arguably the most fun series of the week, and it's not the Yankees and the Rays because that was a murder. Like, the games are close, but it was a murder. Dodgers Padres, man. I mean, are you the best team in the league, the second best team in the NL, arguably the second best team in the league. They had a 3-game set. The Dodgers took 2 of 3, but there were 3 really, really fun games. You got 1 extra inning game, 1 great play by Mookie Betts to win game 2, and then the Padres take game 3. Nick, I want to start with you. What were your takeaways from this series?
My main takeaway is the Padres, I don't think are going to be able to catch up to the Dodgers. And that's not really a knock on the Padres because I don't think anybody in the league is going to catch up to the Dodgers. But even though they won that last game, you saw the arms that the Dodgers were able to throw. They really weren't able to do much off of Buehler, Kershaw, or Bauer. And in a series, that's what you're going to see. And they weren't able to do much off of them at all, especially Kershaw, who I think was really amped up. He pitched that like it was like a big playoff game, and he was into it. You saw him barking there with Profar as well, and he had Tatis confused all game long. So that was my main takeaway, is they're not going to be able to catch the Dodgers. But, the Dodgers did show yesterday on Sunday they had a little leakage in the bullpen, but that was the first time all year they really had it, with Dennis Santana and Scott Alexander kind of blowing that game at the end there. But the starting pitching for the Dodgers is where they are. And of course, Justin Turner right now, arguably right there with Acuna for NL MVP. So I don't expect him to keep that up, obviously. But he should tank here even at 36 years old. I think right now they got to get Tatis going, and that's their main objective. And you have to think with the talent that he has, eventually he will.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Tatis will be fine. I mean, I think they kind of rushed him back because I think they wanted him back for this series. But Jeffrey, what were your takeaways from this 3-game set?
I mean, I had an opposite, viewing point. I think the Padres are actually making a statement in a sense, even in the critical play, like during the 8th inning. Remember when, Dodgers shortstop Corey Seager is tied 2-2, and then he made an error, and then, the Padres went on to score 3 unearned runs. And it's just like, in the NL, when the playoffs come, playoffs are so much more different than the regular season. And I think the Padres can definitely put up with the Dodgers after being, pounded for seasons in.
Yeah, no, that's what's interesting about this is turning into a rivalry. I don't know if we can call it a rivalry yet because the Padres just have not beaten the Dodgers consistently enough. But these teams don't seem to like each other a lot. Like, there was a lot of chippy moments throughout this series, and that's what's fun. Like, that's what baseball's been missing. Like Nick and I were talking about pregame show, the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, it used to be that chippy rivalry. It's not that anymore. The Red Sox haven't been good for a hot minute. And when they play, the Yankees have won like 13 out of the last 15 games. So like, there's not that heated passion anymore. But this Dodgers-Padres series showed it. They were chippy. The bench is cleared. Clayton Kershaw and Profar were yelling at each other. And guess what? We're going to get a 4-game set of it this week. So we get it again. And I cannot wait. This is what baseball needed. Baseball needed something that they can market to where people are going to watch. It's Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN on Sunday. This is what baseball needed. Nick, do you also agree that this is what baseball needed?
This is great for baseball. I think you're seeing a more concerted effort from all of Major League Baseball this year to try to market their guys better. And I think you've already seen it, the coverage on some of the big media sites, ESPN, it's already been a lot better, I think, this year. And when you have young stars like this on these 2, Goliaths right now of rosters, I guess you could say, in the same area, just right down the road, it just makes for great television, really. I mean, you tune in and you have like a stadium takeover. I mean, it felt like it was an LA Dodgers home game. And I guess, I mean, a lot of people may not like that, but I kind of like that. I miss those days. I mean, I'm used to it, you know, being a Rays fan. You go to the game and it's, you know, it's 80% Yankee fans, but I kind of like that, I guess. It kind of made it hostile. And I think baseball definitely needs that because it just adds more drama to it. So I think they've struck gold with this Dodger-Padre rivalry, and the fact that you get to see it. You know, how many times are they going to play? 18 to how many times?
18, 19, some like 18 or 19.
20. Yeah, you get 18, 20 of this. Throw it on Sunday Night Baseball. Throw it on ESPN every night. People are going to watch.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing is I kind of wish yesterday's Sunday Night Baseball was Game 3 of this series instead of the Cubs in Atlanta. Like, market this. Like, this is going to be your rivalry for the next 5-10 years. Market this. Like, this and the Yankees and the Rays. I think those are the two things that MLB needs to just like hammer home. Go ahead, Jeff. What's up?
16 regular season games left between them. That's the exciting part. And just to see the aces of Clay and Kershaw and Yu Darvish. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say his last name too well, but both played extremely well during the series. And it was just like you said, even the Mookie Betts glove catch was insane. It was like inches. It was just this close to being towards the ground. It's just like, wow, such an exciting series.
It's fun, and we get 4 more games of it this week. I'm ready. I'm excited. But let's move on to what makes me terribly sad, and that's my New York Yankees. They've lost 5 in a row. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Nick's Rays swept us. Nick, what's wrong with the Yankees, man?
Everything. But it starts, I think, I mean, I'll address the pitching at the moment. Garrett Cole's fantastic, except when he hasn't beat the Rays ever in the regular season, fun fact. But, I mean, he is fantastic, I have to admit. But after him, who are you counting on?
Nobody.
Who are you counting on? You can kind of count on Montgomery. Kluber looks like he might get the Jay Bruce treatment in a month or two, and he might have to retire midway through the season. I mean, Domingo Germán had 1 start, and they said alternate site, bye. So, I mean, it's rough right now in that with the pitching, of course, you can't really count on anybody. And, of course, the hitting, I mean, bottom in the league in OPS. I mean, who would ever saw that coming with a Yankee lineup? And this week they struck out 37 times against the Rays this weekend. 37 times, 14 Ks between Judge and Stanton. You're not going to win many games with Judge and Stanton doing that, but they've definitely done a lot of that, especially Stanton, who has been dropped in the order just a little bit in a couple games. And I think Glaber's next. I don't know what you can do in that 5 hole with him at the moment. The pressure of playing in New York looks like it's really taking a toll on him. You've seen defensively, he's had a couple of lapses at the plate. He looks lost. And I think the entire team right now, they need to get a series away from Yankee Stadium at the moment, because right now that seems like really a pressure cooker in Yankee Stadium, but they're not out of it because here come the Braves, who obviously have not really played well. They got a nice game yesterday out of Chicago, but they're coming in and they need to turn their season around. So I don't know if it's going to get better right now for New York.
Yeah, that's my thing with the Yankees right now, is it feels like it has to get worse before it's going to get better. And I think getting swept by Atlanta might be a good thing in the long run. So let's say they drop both to Atlanta because it's a 2-game set. Then they go to Cleveland. Cleveland is kind of like the Yankees where they can't hit, right? But you're going to get Cole in one of those starts. You're also going to have to face Bieber at one point. If the Yankees can take 3 or 4 from Cleveland in Cleveland, that's a good sign. If they don't, if they take 2, if they split or lose 3 or get swept, heads need to roll. That's kind of my standpoint with the Yankees. I'm not full panic yet. I'm definitely worried because you saw this in the playoffs last year. They can't hit when it matters most. And outside of Garrett Cole, the pitching is a huge question mark. The bullpen's been great. Michael King's looked good, 9 innings, no earned runs. But geez, man, like I did not think there was a possibility that the Yankees come in 3rd in this division, and it's looking like it could happen. I don't think it will, but it could happen. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the Yankees so far?
I mean, the Yankees have always been so prevalent. It's crazy to think they're at their poorest start since 1997. We weren't even born then.
Yeah.
It's insane to think about. And it all comes up top, I think, with Aaron Boone. There's no motivation in the locker room. It seems like the team, after Garrett Cole comes out and pitches really, really well, the defense comes out and gives him nothing. Or, the hitters really give him nothing. Aaron Judge, Kleber Torres, Giancarlo Stanton, Frazier, Hicks, all those guys, all big name guys, they ain't showing up right now. And it's really hurting the team, especially I think it's more of a morale thing right now. And like you said, Nick, they just need to get out and maybe get out of that, park just for a couple of games and go see the away teams. Maybe catch their balance, because I know the fans are not happy in New York.
No, it's got to be tough to be playing there right now because they're playing, and they're getting booed. Like Yankee fans, they'll boo you if you're not playing well, and they're loud. My cousin was there the other day, and he said it's bad. Like it feels like a pressure cooker in Yankee Stadium right now, and it's tough, man. Like with Hicks specifically, like Hicks will go through these slumps where he's not hitting, but at least he'll walk. Like Hicks is someone who gets a lot of walks. He's not even doing that right now, and he's playing terrible defense. He cost the Yankees 2 runs yesterday. Like I'm almost at the point where, like, okay, bench him, put Talkman in. Talkman can't do worse. Like it's a weird scenario, man. Like I don't know. There's no like immediate fix for this either. That's our thing.
Well, I didn't even mention it. It just kind of hit my head. Luke Voigt he's coming back. I think maybe this week, the week after. So that should that should be a little bit of a lift, I think, if you can make it to Luke Voigt, because Hicks has kind of been hitting third in that lineup. And I just never really. I guess I never have understood Aaron Hicks in that 3-hole. I never have.
No one does. No one does.
He's a career, 240 something hitter, So Luke Voigt definitely should help, because that's been a big hole at first base as well. And you saw they tried the Jay Bruce experiment, did not work as well.
I woke up yesterday to Jay Bruce retiring, and I, like every Yankee fan, was very excited because Jay Bruce at first base has been yikes. It's been rough, but enough about my Yankees. Let's talk about some surprises so far, Nick. We'll start with you. What's been a big surprise to you this season? It's still early, but
I got a team and I got a player. I'm gonna start with a team, and that's Seattle, who I thought really was. I thought they were a basement dweller for the last couple of years, but I guess I really undersold their rebuild and how fast they could kind of get back up. They actually have a lot of intriguing pieces, and even without Kyle Lewis in that lineup so far this year, they've been led by Mitch Haniger and Ty France, and here they are 10-6 at top of the AL West. And I guess that's really surprising because it is Seattle. But also, when you look up and down that lineup, nobody's really doing much outside of Haniger and France. This is the definition of carrying a team. And then you go to the rotation, nobody's really pitching well in the rotation either. So it's really crazy how they're winning games. I don't know if it's sustainable, but 16 games, they've been good. And then my surprise player of the season is Jed Lowry, and Mets fans, you're just going to Met. In fact, let me just add Steven Matz, Wilson Ramos, and Michael Walker to that list, who have all been standouts so far that were former Mets last year. That's just, there you go. Yeah. It's a Met life. It really is. So, but Jed Lowry had 7 at-bats last year, and they were like, no, we don't want him anymore. Minor league deal in Oakland. Oh, he's an all-star this year. I mean, you can't make it up. So, I mean, and I, like you, I love to just dunk all over the Mets. So, those are my surprises. All the players who left.
Hey, I love your Mariners pick, because to me, they're kind of like last year's Marlins, where like you can tell, like, yeah, they're rebuilding, but they're probably still a couple years away. And then they get there and it's like, oh no, they're here now. And what's cool about the Mariners is they're only going to get better. They're going to get Kyle Lewis back. They have 2 of the top 3 best prospects in the league. They're going to get Kalinick. Kalinick is a stud. Who, guess what? The Mets traded. So you want to dunk on the Mets some more? The Mets got rid of Kalinick to get Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz. So boom, there's your other Mets dunk. So they get Kalinick. Then they have a pitcher, I believe, who's going to be coming up. Like, the Mariners are only going to get better. And do I think they're going to sustain this? Probably not. But they're going to be a fun team to watch. Jeff, who are your surprises so far?
So I honestly am really relieved to say I could speak about the Rays for this, because Jeff Springs. I don't understand how the Rays do it every other season, but they bring people out of the minor leagues and just bring all this talent, and they just show out. Like Jeffrey Springs right now, he's having a career year. He's a 5.20 career ERA, And like now he's showing up and throwing 3 perfect innings over 4 games. I mean, he's been showing out. Also, same thing for Red Sox Garrett Whitlock. I've been watching a little bit of Red Sox baseball, and he's honestly been a huge surprise for them also. I mean, he's thrown like I think 5 scoreless innings in the past like couple of weeks, and he's been honestly playing lights out. And it's one more thing that really bothers me of these 5 teams. There's only 3 that are over 500. The Yankees, Braves, Twins, Giants, Royals, and Mariners. I think that's 6 teams. But it's not even the ones you're expecting to be over 500 that are over 500. And that's another thing that's bothering me.
It's early, yes, but like, geez, man, what is going on? Like, my surprise though, as a team, is the Royals. I mean, I expected them to hit, but I didn't expect their pitching to be good enough to where they can be 9-5 to start the season. They're kind of like the Blue Jays last year, where they're going to score a ton of runs. They're not going to pitch well, but they've been pitching good enough. Like they don't need the pitchers to go out and throw like 6 scoreless innings for them to win, because they can score it. Their lineup is good. They can hit. They're a lot of fun. Whit Merrifield is insanely fun to watch. If you have MLB TV and you're looking for a team to watch the Royals. They're fun. They're exciting. They score. But that's definitely my surprise so far. And the Mariners were going to be my pick, but Nick took them. So I found another one real quick. Because the Mariners, man, and like the Angels have been surprising too. Like that pitching staff where they don't really have a bona fide stud outside of maybe Dylan Bundy, if you want to call him that. Their pitching's been pretty good. Ohtani is so far so good. Mike Trout is Mike Trout. Like, you know what you're getting there. That's the GOAT. But Nick, what are your thoughts on the Angels so far? Like they've been really good.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Walsh has really helped a lot. You haven't had to play Pujols every single day, and I love Albert Pujols. But there comes a time where if you want to compete, you gotta plug guys who can play. And Jared Walsh is hitting over 300. He's got 4 or 5 home runs. He's been awesome in the middle of that order for them. The pitching, Alex Cobb came in, and I think we all were like, Alex Cobb, that's who your big acquisition is, pitching. And so far, he's been rock solid. So it's and the AL West is wide open. Oakland's hot right now. They've won 8 in a row. We talked about Seattle, but Houston's down right now. The Rangers they have no shot as far as I'm concerned. So it's a wide open in the AL West. And I think if you can get Ohtani back, he had the blister on his hand or whatever it was, you can get him pitching more games there with the other 2 guys. It's a competent rotation. So I'm optimistic on them right now.
That was my big thing with the Angels was like, in the offseason, it was get Mike Trout pitching. Like, stop signing outfielders. Because it seemed like every free agency, they just signed a different outfielder. So what are you doing? Like, you have Mike Trout. Get pitching. Like, get this man help. And then they didn't really get the big names pitching-wise this offseason. They got Alex Cobb, and I was like, why? And Alex Cobb has been showing out so far. So props to the Angels. You're finally getting Mike Trout help, and I think we all want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. Like, I want to see the greatest player of all time in the playoffs, please. Please. It's only happened once, and it was like his rookie season. Like, please, get Mike Trout in the playoffs. But do you guys have any closing thoughts? Jeffrey?
I mean, I'm looking at the listings right now, and the Padres from earlier, they are right there at 10-7. They're not too far behind. And like I said, when playoff time comes, I think when we see the Aces battle, it's gonna be a great series. For sure. And my eyes are glued to that 4-game set this week. Nick, do you have any closing thoughts?
Real quick on the Giants. The Giants just irritate me every single year. Can they please stop playing mediocre to above average baseball and just accept that the days are over? Like, I knew it when they signed DeSclafani and when they signed Alex Wood. They're going to get just enough competent guys to be 80 and 82. And right now they are in second place in the NL West, and they're probably going to finish 81 and 81 or 80 and 82. And I'm sick of it. Just lose 65 games, please. Please lose 65 games. Please get a high draft pick to go along with Joey Bart, who right now you're screwing up as a prospect because you still want Buster Posey to play. Please, Giants, do something for your future. That's all. Yeah,
the Giants are the frustrating team because like the rest of baseball seems to be taking if we're not good, we're going to be like very, very, very bad. But like the Giants every year is like, no, we're just going to be completely average. Like we don't care. We're not going to make the playoffs, but we're not going to have a good draft pick either. And like that just tank.
Like,
Like,
stop being in the middle.
Team. Help
Orlando
your team.
Magic as well. Orlando
Yeah,
Magic.
exactly.
Straight
The Magic do it too. It's like, bro, if you're gonna miss the playoffs, be bad, please. Like, get draft picks. You have Joey Bart. Joey Bart's exciting. Give him some talent around him and stop playing Buster Posey. Like, I'm with you. The Giants frustrate me too. But that is all we have for today. It was a fun season finale. Thank you guys for joining me. I had a great time. After this short break, we're going to come back and I'm going to rant about the Yankees. So stay tuned. Guys, thank you for joining me.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying today's episode on Hitting the Field Network. On my show, Take Me Out to the Podcast, we're bringing you the latest in MLB news and some incredible interviews with some incredible people, including Bobby from Outta Here Baseball, Bailey from Foolish Baseball, Dawson Wright, Alec Palmer from Momentum, and so many more. Be sure to tune in to Take Me Out to the Podcast every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, only on HTFN.
What's up, guys? We had a great season finale. I want to thank all my guests for coming on. We had a great time talking NBA and some MLB. But now it's time for my last rant of the semester. And it's a team I would not expect to be ranting about, and that's my New York Yankees. My entire life, the Yankees have been a model of consistency outside of those weird 2 years from 2013 to 15. But they are bad right now. Out of their last 10 games, only one batter is batting above 240, and that's DJ LeMahieu. And the team can't hit. They can't pitch outside of Garrett Cole and maybe Jordan Montgomery when he wants to pitch good. Like, they can't play defense either. They have the 5th most errors in the league. And in terms of their hitting, they don't swing at pitches in the zone, but they swing at pitches out of the zone. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Out of the pitches thrown in the zone, only 8% of them have been hit. What are you doing? Swing the bat. When pitches are attacking the zone, swing the bat. I don't care if you miss, swing first pitch, do something, switch it up, because what we're doing now is not working. They're dead last in OPS. You're a Yankees team, you're built on hitting the ball, and you're built on hitting the ball far, and you're dead last in that. It does not make sense. Their batting average of 210 is the 5th worst in the MLB right now. It just doesn't make sense. Out of Garrett Cole, outside of Garrett Cole, their team ERA is 6.39. That's got to change. You can't be putting Garrett Cole out there in a must-win scenario every 5 days, because it feels like when Garrett Cole's on the mound, you have to win because you don't know what you're going to get out of the other 4 days. And no, I'm not hitting the panic button yet. But if this goes on for another 2 weeks, I'm going to be smashing the panic button, because if this goes on for another 2 weeks, I don't think the Yankees are going to make the playoffs at this rate. They're so frustrating because every single player is all-star caliber, and they're playing like a high school JV team right now. They look dead. There's no life watching a Yankee game right now. It is the most frustrating thing I can do. Yesterday, instead of watching the Yankees-Rays, which is one of the MLB's best rivalries, best up-and-coming rivalries, I watched the Knicks game because for some reason, the Knicks are bringing me more joy than the Yankees. You know what? The last time that happened was 2013. That does not happen. The Knicks do not bring me more joy than the Yankees. Baseball is my favorite sport, but right now the Knicks are better than the Yankees, and that is mind-boggling to me. But that's my rant. Thank you for a great semester. I will be back next semester hosting the show, hopefully in the studio and not in my room. But I want to thank you to my guests. I want to thank you to Jarrett for giving me this position. It's been a ton of fun, and I hope you guys stick with me next semester. And peace.